It seems we're one strike down and one strike to go. Now, what I mean by it seems we're down one strike to go, is because, in case you don't know, and I'm sure a lot of you do, the WGA and the AMPTP, if you will, the studios overall that get represented by the AMPTP, have reached a tentative agreement, a tentative deal to end the strike. Now, what does that mean? What does a tentative strike deal mean, if you will? Well, it's quite simple, very quite simple. Tentative basically means temporary. In other words, this is a deal that will be permanent or could be permanent, but it all depends on a few factors. Those factors being the people, lawyer-wise, representative-wise, that are going to overlook the contract, overlook the agreement, and make sure everything is there that everybody is wanting. They're going to look at the fine print, and so on and so forth. They're basically going to check every nook and cranny, if you will, of this agreement to ensure that there's nothing missing or there's nothing in there that, the AMPTP and the studios could slip in under the noses. Basically they want to make sure this is on the up and up so that we can officially end this strike. Now, you might say, well, the strike is over, right? Not necessarily. It's tentatively over. Let me put it to you like this. For example, at my job about a week or so ago, or 2 weeks ago actually, 2 weeks ago today, they gave us what was known as VTO. Now, this is a temporary solution to when things are slow. When things are slow. Either it's because of the fact that, hey, trucks aren't coming in as fast as they should, thus it's slowing down production in the warehouse and in certain departments, and thus because it's, slowing down, production in certain departments, that means basically those departments have to send most of the workers over to other departments that they've been cross-trained to work in to basically buy time, or basically buy time and get those 8 hours that they want in. So in the process, what this does is it opens the door for anybody that wants to maybe go home early to do so, but it's only a tentative, temporary solution. That's what it is. It's a tentative solution to a problem that can't be avoided. And 2 weeks ago today, because of the power outage that occurred the weekend prior due to the storm, or the humidity storm that we had, in the area, that's exactly what happened. But it wasn't a absolute, situation. It wasn't a permanent situation where it's always going, like every day was going to be like that. No, it was a tentative, temporary solution. And that's as crazy as a comparison, or as ununique as a comparison as that may be to this. That's exactly what this this agreement is to end the strikes. It is a tentative, temporary agreement. It is something that may become permanent. It may become official. Everything on the up and up. Or it may be something that basically gets thrown in the trash and the strikes resume. That's basically what it could be. End of story. It's kind of like what I'm in right now at Cole. At this Kohl's job. Basically it's seasonal. It could become permanent, but it's seasonal. Right now, basically seasonal is very similar to tentative. Tentative basically being, it's something, you're doing right now. It's something to occupy you, but it doesn't mean it's going to be permanent, or it doesn't mean it's going to be, the absolute resolution you need to your employment, and everything at the end of, the time frame and all that. And that's what basically this is. This is kind of like a seasonal deal. This is a seasonal agreement. Like, this is only temporary until they can pretty much come to the conclusion that everything's on the up and up, or pretty much, hey, there's something in here we didn't agree to, you snuck it in here, we're going to resume strikes. That's what this is. That's what this is, if you will, if you want to compare it to kind of like real life employment situations, if you will, outside of the WGA and and all that. That's what this is. That's what this is. It's you kind of have to look at it like a seasonal situation, to where it may be permanent, in a few days, or it may be something that just basically resumes the strikes, and it's just for the season, and the season's only a few days, and that's it. But we'll see. We shall see. Now, here's the thing, though. Here's the thing, though, and it's a question that I'm sure everybody wants to, have an answer to. When did the Writers Guild finally agree to the agreement that the AMPTP gave them, the studios that gave them? When did they finally come to this agreement? Was it, the AMPTP and the studios relenting and saying, okay, fine, you can have, you can have your 20 plus writers in the writers' room, along with everything else you have agreed on already. Was it them just finally relenting and say, okay, fine, you want your 20 writers? Fine, here you go, you got it. Or was it a situation to where basically what some people predicted and some of the studios were rumored to be wanting, actually happened, but the members of the Writers Guild ain't going to come out and say it, and that is the fact that some of the writers were financially, starting to struggle, and they're like, okay, enough's enough, let's just do what we got to do to get back on our feet. Is that what happened? Is that what occurred? We don't know. We don't really know. But I can say this. When and where we find out the truth, that's what's really going to tell us, exactly who came out on the winning end. Now, the WGA will celebrate, hey, we got what we wanted, but, is it what they wanted, or is it the fact that basically they had to just, realize, hey, this is the best we're going to get for right now, let's just run with it, let's just go with it, let's just accept it, because maybe they were, like I said, maybe they were struggling financially. We don't know. We don't know at all. And again, we don't know. And again, maybe the studios relented and said, fine, we'll give them the 20 writers. We'll give them what they want so we can end this. Did they relent? Did they finally wave the right flag and said, okay, you guys get what you want? Everything you've agreed upon, including the 20 writers, okay, fine. Is that what happened? We don't know. We don't know. But I can tell you this, whatever the deal is, obviously had to be satisfactory enough to at least be agreed upon as tentative, so it could be looked over to make sure everything is on that up and up. That's it had to be that good, honestly. It really did. But the question is, will we see something like this again in the future? I have no doubt, depending on how long this deal goes for, we may see it again. We may. I'm not saying we will, but we may. And if we do see it again, I have no doubt that I have no doubt that the strike the next time around won't last as long as this one, because I think what will happen is not only are you going to have new members of the AMPTP board-wise, but you're going to have the studios also learning the lessons as well, from this situation, to be like, okay, look, let's just give them what they want for right now, and then maybe we could work something out down the line, to make it a lot easier for us and them. That might be the lesson they learn here. That might be the lesson they learn here. And who's to say the studios, when they relented and said, okay, fine, we'll give them what they want, including the 20 plus writers and everything. Who's to say, as I was just checking something there, who's to say basically, the studios, when they relented and said, okay, fine, we'll give them everything that they've agreed upon already, along with the 20 writers that they've been wanting, who's to say the studios, maybe members of the AMPTP and the studios, who's to say they didn't, agree to let that happen, but to see the chaos unfold? Think about that. You think about that. They could have held off. They could have held off for as long as they wanted. They could have held off until every member, or at least the majority of the members of the WGA started to financially struggle to get a deal finally done. They could have waited longer, than what we got right now. They could have waited a lot longer, but they didn't. But they didn't, and I think the reason being, in my opinion, is if they did relent, and the WGA finally did get all the things they want, including the 20 plus writers room, I think the reason they may have relented, and this is just my opinion, is because they probably are believing, hey, they want 20 plus writers? Fine, we'll give it to them, and we'll let them see for themselves the chaos that will cause. Maybe that's why. Maybe they want to basically have the writers realize, the chaos, and the unpredictability and the miscommunication that's going to come by having 20 plus writers in the room. Now, we don't know exactly why, truly. I mean, we've heard, people mention it and talk about it and everything, but we don't know truly why, shows and movies we can understand need multiple writers, there's no doubt. But we don't understand why shows, network or streaming, need 20 plus writers, or how many writers in the room. We don't understand that. We don't understand that at all, why they would need that many. Is it maybe because they want to get these, these episodes if maybe, let's say, Netflix says, okay, we want, 13 of these episodes out and ready to go on the debut day of said show. Is it because of that? And the writers are like, okay, fine, we can do that, and we're going to utilize the 20 plus writers we have here. Is that the reason? Because if that's the reason, then fine, that makes sense. You have different writers working on different episodes, going back and forth, hopefully in a very organized communicational way, to ensure that if the show they're writing for has a continuity to it, that each episode written by somebody different follows said continuity. So I can understand that. But if it's the fact that they just want 20 plus writers because maybe one group of writers are like, you know what? I don't feel like writing today. I'm gonna call in. I'm gonna take the day off. You guys take over. Bye. Is that it? Is that why they want them? So that way they can take off and have a day to themselves? We don't know. But we'll have to see. We will have to see exactly, hopefully when everything is said and done in the next few days, exactly what this is all going to entail to. Again, we'll find out the truth. We probably won't know it right away, but we will find out the truth, I guarantee you, as to exactly how this all came to an end, tentatively, if not permanently. We're going to find out the truth. We're going to find out somewhere in the middle exactly what happened. We're going to find out from both sides exactly what made this happen, and in the middle of both those representations of, oh, this is how it happened and everything on our side, if on our side, let's say the AMPTP comes out and says, oh, well, this is how it happened on our side, and then someone representing the WGA says in response, oh, well, this is how it happened on our side, right in the middle will be the truth. You just got to piece it together. Right in the middle will be the truth. And that, to me, will tell us tell us either there was a relentless by the studios in the AMPTP to be like, okay, fine, we'll give you what you want, you win, or we're gonna find out that the WGA, some of the members were starting to struggle financially, and they're like, enough of this, let's just get a deal and be done with it. Somewhere in the middle, we'll find out, depending on, depending on what representative of each side says what, in my opinion. But right now, reaching a tentative deal is a good sign, but again, it's kind of like a temporary solution in a seasonal job. Like I mentioned, in comparison to my job right now that I currently have with my sister, at the job my sister works at, basically 2 weeks ago, it was a tentative temporary solution with the VTO because the power outage the weekend before caused the delay and stuff. So basically it caused a lot of departments to fall behind. Does it cause, though it caused a lot of people to basically have a choice of, hey, it's a temporary tentative deal right now. You want to go home, here's VTO, do it. You want to stay and work, it's up to you. And people got that option. And people like me took that option. And it was only tentative. It was only a tentative temporary solution because the next day things were back to normal. They were. But it's also like a seasonal job. A seasonal job is only for several months, maybe 4, 3 months, 5 months at most. And then afterwards, you either stay on permanently or you're basically, let go and allowed to find work elsewhere. And that's about it. And that's how I see it here. I see it as I see this situation right now, with this deal being tentative, being very seasonal. Like like either at the end of the day, in a few days, it's going to become either permanent or it's going to basically be, not permanent, and we're going to be back to resuming strikes. But we'll see. But let me know what your thoughts are, guys. Comment down below. Live chat during the premiere. Like the video. And until next time, guys, I'm out.